This topic, as our breed improvement committee works on a couple of years in advance, we're going to talk about. We thought that there really was a lot of interest in show heifers and show animals, and just how we manage them differently than just normal everyday good management of animals to get those. We know the standard keeps on the bar keeps on getting raised in the show ring, and so we picked these host farms. People have done a really great job of doing that sort of thing, and Nick came up as a name who has worked with a lot of different herds in getting some really good calves out in the show ring. So Nick, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Again, like Matt said, my name is Nick Uglow. I'm a dairy nutritionist in southern Wisconsin, mainly central to southeastern Wisconsin, and primarily work with dairy herds, small tie-stall herds to larger freestall herds. And a small fraction of my business, which I take a lot of pride in, is working with 4-H members and helping them with their 4-H projects. And it's led me to formulating some show heifer diets, and it's been a real fun thing to do with some of these kids. So, to give you a little bit of background on me, I grew up in Watertown, where I still am. My parents have a 60-cow Holstein farm and Brown Swiss farm. We primarily focus on our Brown Swiss, so please don't judge. But we still focus, or we still have a lot of fun with our rich Holsteins. And I've had some interesting conversations with some of my Holstein friends that were asking me why would the Wisconsin Holstein Association ask a Brown Swiss person how to feed their heifers. So we had some laughs on that. But anyways, get started here. First, I want to ask: does anyone have any burning questions that they want to have answered in this presentation or this whole meeting here? Anybody want to volunteer and have any questions, and then I'll have Kayla write down what they would be, and then hopefully we'll answer those as time goes on. So, anybody want to volunteer? Do you have any questions that you want to answer? No? Okay, well, so we'll get started. First of all, our concept on this whole thing is you need to start with an animal that's superior genetically, and a heifer that has a DNA makeup of a big frame, tall dairy, good feet and legs, a lifestyle, and we want to do everything we can to have that heifer reach its genetic potential. And we want to do that by some of the most basic things, starting with, I got it written down here, calf processing, and then my 5 top things are, like I said, they're basic, but we can't overlook them. Clean air, or clean ventilation, clean bedding, clean water, consistency, and then I'll add a 5th one would be exercise for yearling heifers especially. So, and I want to stress that in no idea what happened. Okay. I want to stress that this whole concept, there are no silver bullets or magic pills. It's just doing the right kinds of management things to get these heifers to reach their genetic potential. So it all kind of starts. It all starts with when that calf hits the ground, when she's born. We want to make sure that she's born in a clean maternity pen, one that's clean and dry. I got a really good example of a clean, dry maternity pen. Clean straw, no manure. If that calf ingests some manure, that just before she gets her colostrum, that just sets up that calf to have an E. coli scour challenge down the road. So we want to make sure that she's born in a clean, dry environment. And then moving on, we want to make sure that that calf gets. We want to make sure we practice good colostrum management. And what I mean by that is we want to make sure that the colostrum is administered at the right time, which we want to do that right away. There's actually a diminishing return on feeding colostrum. The longer we wait, the less that calf can absorb those nutrients. So we want to make sure that colostrum is fed right away. We want to make sure it's quality colostrum. And when I say that, there's things we can do to measure the quality, either with a colostrometer, which is a bigger glass test tube with a glass dipping stick that measures like the buoyancy and the density of that colostrum, which correlates with the quality. And the best way to measure quality colostrum too is with a Brix meter. It actually measures the light that goes to that colostrum, and that also correlates with the quality of it, measuring the controlled solids of that colostrum. So quantity, we want to make sure that that calf gets 4 quarts or 1 gallon of colostrum as soon as possible. So there's been a lot of data on good colostrum management and growth with that animal, and then moving down the road when she calves in, really good first material production numbers too. So we also want to dip the calf's navel with a 7% tincture iodine. We want that navel to dry up and prevent any bacteria getting into the bloodstream. So, like I said before, clean, dry maternity time. Moving on, when that calf is processed, we want to get her into a clean, dry environment, whether a calf hutch, whether a cubicle, something that's been disinfected before that calf enters that calf hutch. We want to get her on an all-milk diet right away. Milk replacers work really well, and using an accelerated program, your 2820s, your 2620s, they work really well. I actually think that pasteurized milk works really, really well. It's probably the gold standard. There's a lot of protein caseins and essential fatty acids in that pasteurized milk that works really well for growth. Time of feeding standard is 8 weeks. If you want to push growth a little bit more, you can leave that calf on milk for another week, 2 weeks. It's not real economical, but it will push growth. And then we want to get that calf onto a good quality calf starter. Higher protein, which is good. I don't care if you use a pelleted protein or a pelleted starter or a textured starter. And we want to make sure that it has a good coccidiostat, whether it's Bovatec or Rumensin. And then fresh water, clean fresh water for that calf is very imperative. Best time to offer that calf water is probably 10-20 minutes after that calf has fed milk. The water actually goes into the rumen, whereas milk is actually shunt into the abomasum. There's an enzyme in that milk that puts it into the abomasum. So water and milk do not go in the same compartments. So water really helps with the rumen development, and I would say try to offer warm fresh water too. So some other things on consistency is so important with these calves. I want to make sure that our milk diet is consistent with these calves. They're very sensitive on consistency. We want to make sure our percent of solids, our ratio of powder to water is really good and really consistent. And then cleanliness is very imperative too. One thing that's been really popular as of late on the disinfectants is chlorine dioxide. We want to make sure that all our mixing utensils is clean with the disinfectant. Anything that comes in contact with milk, our pails, our buckets, our nipples, bottles, whisks, colostrum collecting equipment, it's very important. And then the discussion on hay, our recommendation on hay is not the first, wait until about 2 to 3 months of age. Reason being is calf starter intake, dry feed intake is so important in developing that rumen. If that calf ingests a lot of hay, that just gets in the way of great intake. So I know there's some people that are used to feeding hay, and that's fine, but I would do it in very small amounts. So I would use grass hay. Clean and dry environments, and then we want to separate our stress events. What I mean by stress events are our dehorning, our vaccinating, and our time of weaning. Industry standard on dehorning, 3 to 4 weeks of age. You get past the first 2 weeks of that calf's life when you're a little sensitive on scours, and then we want to stay away from the weaning time too. So one thing that's been pretty popular as of late is using the dehorning paste first couple days of life when that calf is very inactive. So there's some literature on that. And then I'd also stress working with your veterinarian on developing a vaccination protocol. So I'm not a DVM, so I'm not going to touch that, but there are some very good vaccines out there for protecting against BRD, PI3, Pasteurella, all those respiratory issues. So moving on, and these next few slides that are in your packet are kind of benchmarks per age group. I'm not gonna go through them, but the bottom line is that when they're younger, they're more efficient on converting energy. And so we can push a little bit more on corn and oats and energy feeds like that, and probably less when we get older. So, and then when they get a little bit older as yearlings, we want to stress exercise. So like I said, you can look at that on your own.